Hey there! How would you like the latest insights, updates, and expert conversations on franchising and beyond? Well, the best way to stay connected is through our LinkedIn page and our audio podcast, Franchise U. Just search for the Yum Center for Global Franchise Excellence on LinkedIn and search Franchise U wherever you listen to your podcast. Just hit that follow button, subscribe, and join the conversation. We are posting new content constantly, and that's where we share it all, so don't miss out. There are 48 million children under the age of 12 in the U.S., and it might surprise you to know that 98% of them do not have a hair salon to call their own. What an opportunity. So join me in this episode of Franchise U, where I speak with Amy Leclerc, one of the co-owners and president of Sit Still Kids Salon. It's a fascinating one.
Welcome to the Franchisee podcast, where key industry leaders provide education and inspiration. Here's your host, Dr. Kathy Gosser, the director of the Yum Center for Global Franchise Excellence at the University of Louisville.
Welcome to another episode of Franchise U. And with me today, I have Amy Leclerc, who's the co-owner and president of franchising for Sit Still Kids Salon, which, I can't wait till we talk about that. But welcome, Amy. I'm so glad you're with us.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course, of course. So let's talk about you. You are a graduate of the University of Oregon with a degree in journalism, which, little known fact, I have a degree in journalism as well. So that's a good one. You started your career in marketing and advertising until you started working with Bar 3 in 2010, which is a well-known franchise. So you were a director of business development, a VP of sales, and then an owner of a Bar 3 franchise, which is really cool. Then in 2018, you started your journey with Sit Still Kids Salon. So that's a lot. Let's unpack this a little bit. All right. So my first question is, tell us about the jump from advertising to working and leading a franchise, Bar 3.
Well, it was definitely not premeditated. Yeah, I had spent the first part of my career in New York City working in advertising, magazine publishing, definitely kind of a Devil Wears Prada-esque experience that I just loved. I love brands. I love storytelling. I love visuals. I'm kind of like a business creative at heart. And when I relocated to the West Coast and started taking Bar 3 classes, I was really taken by the concept. I wasn't familiar with bar as a fitness modality, but really just loved what Sadie and Chris, the founders of Bar 3, were up to. And when they had mentioned somewhat in passing that they were considering franchising the Bar 3 concept, I essentially said, well, that sounds like what McDonald's does. And I don't know if that's like the right thing for you, but I am so taken by what you guys are doing and the potential that Bar 3 has that I'm in terms of helping you figure it out. So it was, definitely an inside out experience. I was teaching Bar 3 classes at the time and just really saw huge potential in terms of what Bar 3 could be, and essentially ended up learning Bar 3, building the plane while flying it is sort of the analogy we like to use, because it was a very, very fast growing concept. And I feel like I got my Bar 3 MBA there.
I think you did, because you also became a franchisee, right?
Correct. Yeah. So I had relocated to the West Coast with my husband, but never really felt like I spiritually had left New York. I really feel like I hit planet Earth with just New York kind of pumping through my veins. And so the opportunity to bring Bar 3 to New York felt like something that I really wanted to seize myself. So yeah, I opened a location in 2017 in the West Village and became my own franchisee, so to speak.
So what did you learn from that? Like, how was that side so much different than working for the franchisor?
It's very different. You are really living the day-to-day of ownership. And so it helped me really close the feedback loop between what it is at the franchisor level you sort of say you're all about and thrive, in the development world, you're painting the picture of what the life of a franchisee is. And then I'm actually living the life of a franchisee through building and growing my own location in New York. I think New York absolutely is an anomaly market for almost every concept out there. So you have to take that into consideration. But it really was a breeding ground for us in terms of PR and marketing and helped to put Bar 3 on the map in a really big way. So there was just like a lot of like symbiosis happening between the role I had at the corporate level and the role I had building our brand in New York.
That's awesome. And gosh, I think now you leading this brand, what you know from being a franchisee has got to be so helpful for you.
Correct.
I can see that you have walked in those shoes, so to speak. But I also read something that I just love, that you have 3 themes in your life. 1, keep meeting new people. 2, trust your intuition and inner compass. And 3, take big swings. So be comfortable with risk. Would you please talk about one of those in depth?
The keep meeting new people is a mantra that I learned really early on in my career. None of us find success in a silo. It just doesn't work that way. We are social creatures, like by human design. And being curious about what it is that other people do, and in a professional capacity, how we can lock arms together to learn from each other, to work together, to strive towards a common goal. I'm always the person in any given organization that's looking to the outside to help inform what happens on the inside. So I just love understanding what it is that other people do and how we can leverage other people's talents to help us be better at what we do. And so that idea of just like being open and curious about other people, that's like innate to who I am as a human being, but it has served me really well in my career. And I feel like anytime I'm feeling somewhat stuck, which happens to all of us, it's a matter of just getting out and connecting with somebody else and understanding that our pain points are often shared, our wins are shared. And so I've just collected a real cadre of talented, interesting people throughout my career journey.
Well, that certainly is smart, because it kind of reminds me of how I talk to students about how important it is to network and build relationships. And that falls right into that, because you never know what opportunities will come your way, let's move into Sit Still Kids, because that did come your way. So what is it about Sit Still Kids Salon that first got you excited about it?
You know, I was exposed to Sit Still, the original location, as the mom of a 2-year-old boy who was in desperate need of a haircut. And so when I walked into Sit Still for the first time, I had a feeling that was similar to the feeling I had when I walked into Bar 3 for the first time, similar to several of my experiences in New York, where I just felt like, gosh, there's just something remarkable happening here. But still, that had to do with the atmosphere, the environment. At the time, being the mom of a 2-year-old, a lot of the places I would take him were very kiddified. Translates to primary colors, balloons, cartoons. And Sit Still was everything but that. It was so fun, but it was style forward. The retail was so cool and curated. He had an incredible experience getting his haircut for the first time. And I just filed that away as an interesting business. And definitely at the time, because I had been working in franchising, saw like all the ingredients for a franchise in what Sit Still was all about.
That all sounds great. Let's talk about Sit Still. So it's branded as a modern kids hair salon, kind of as you've described, right? And I watched a video on your website, and it's pretty incredible. You have cars for the kids to sit in while having their hair cut. The toys are not, to your point, too kidified, but it is a fun environment. And your mission is to provide the whole family, which that really struck me, the whole family, with positive experiences and high quality styles in a welcoming, inclusive environment filled with all things. I mean, how cool is that? So tell us a little bit more about the Sit Still Kids experience, maybe from a customer lens.
Yeah, our mission is to make it as easy and seamless as possible for families to book services and come and experience Sit Still. So everything from, like, we always said, mom needs to be able to book an appointment with one thumb, right? She's physically and metaphorically and spiritually juggling a lot.
Sure.
And so that idea of just meeting parents where they are and being able to have a seamless booking experience, it really starts there. And then once they are within our four walls for their experience, it's a matter of taking time to consult with the parents and the child to understand what are our goals, like what are certain things that we should know about this kiddo to ensure that this is a really fun and safe and effective experience for the kiddo, while also taking care of mom and dad and whoever else might be there, meaning ample seating for parents to sit and like take a moment to themselves. We offer beverage services at a lot of our salons, cold brew, sparkling water, rosé. I mean, these are just not things that you generally experience when you're taking your child somewhere. And so we were really committed to creating an experience that was inspired by what happens at adult services, but catered in through the lens of appropriate for the whole family.
Well, that sounds amazing. And I like how you start with even booking the experience, because sometimes that can be hassle enough to make you stop. So that sounds great. So let's talk about your growth. Right now, you have 27 locations in 15 states, but you have 50 locations projected by 2026. So almost doubling your growth. You've sold over 70 territories as well. And I read you do this with a lean team of 10. So how have you been able to have such incredible growth?
Blood, sweat, and tears. I mean, yes, there's just no other way to describe it. My partners and I, 7 years ago, saw a huge opportunity. You know, the unaudited stats point to one children's hair salon for every 92,000 plus children in this country. There's a huge gap. 98% of children in this country under the age of 12 do not have a hair salon to call their own.
Wow.
So the opportunity is incredible. It's what gets me up every single day. And it's why our growth has been what it's been. This is a very sticky concept that is really resonant with not only parents, but with potential business owners. You know, can look around to their own town and say, there's really nowhere for my kids to get their hair cut. Or what is there isn't quite hitting the mark. So we've struck a chord, no doubt, but have built the business very lean, you know, to your earlier comment, because my partners and I do have franchising experience. We have worn literally every hat up until now. We are, I would say, embarking on a second phase of growth where we are able to be more strategic. We're able to invest in more specialized employees who can help take us to this next level of sit still growth as open and sell more locations. But it's really put my partners and I experience to practice. And we've learned a ton along the way, no doubt.
You know, when I just can't get over the opportunity. Those statistics that you just noted, it really makes sense that you're operating under multi-unit development agreements. And is that one of the reasons why this is your goal, is that there's so much opportunity?
Correct. There is literally so much growth potential here that we are looking for owners who have the ability, the fortitude, they are capitalized in a way to really develop a marketplace. Parents don't want to be driving 30 plus minutes to get their children's haircut. That's just not a sustainable growth model. So at a market, it's really through the lens of, okay, where would 3, 6, 10 sit stills be? And then identifying owners who have the ability to actualize and mature into the market through opening multiple locations.
Well, that makes a ton of sense. So that kind of brings me to another question about what would a great franchisee look like? And obviously they have to have the capital. They have to be able to invest into multiple units. What are some other qualities that you are seeking in potential franchisees?
You know, I learned a lot at Bar 3 about who an ideal franchisee is. And to me, it does in many ways transcend concept and is really more about somebody's aptitude to being a strong business owner. And I think those qualities, yes, people have to have a passion about the concept and the brand and the people behind it. I always like to say you're entrepreneurial in spirit, but you're a rule follower at heart. Because franchising is really about taking a playbook and bringing it to life in your own community. And so for me, a key word that I always bring up when I'm talking to potential franchisees is, are you a strong executor? You don't have to be the most creative, the smartest, the most clever person in the room. You have to be able to execute on the resources that are provided to you by the franchisor. And when you have that, that's our promise, right? As a franchisor, we are continuing to give our franchisees resources to make them successful, to grow their business, to open strong. All of that is on us, but we don't do the work for you. So
That's right.
find people who have the ability to take said resources and execute on them. That's the key.
That makes sense. So once they're up and running, what kind of support do you provide?
I mean, it is 360 support. It's highly focused on recruiting, developing, and retaining your staff. People are the lifeblood of Sit Still, right? It's a person delivering the Sit Still experience. It's a person cutting hair. So people, are a big focus for us. How do you continue to develop your stylists? You're always recruiting. You want to grow your staff. People do leave. That's just, business in general. That whole piece is a big focus for us. Marketing is incredibly important. Not only getting new clients in the door, but retaining them. And how do you use marketing tools and strategies to be very successful there? So 2 examples. And then because we are a multi-unit approach, it's also coaching people on when it's appropriate to start to open your multiple locations and hitting certain milestones and seizing real estate opportunities. All of that is very much part of the discussion that we have daily with our owners.
Well, that sounds terrific. And I really like what you said about the execution, because that's what franchising is about. I even teach our students that it's not for everyone. If you don't want to follow a plan, it's probably not for you. So it's good to hear you definitely confirm that.
Yeah. I tell people, the most creative people are not cut out for franchising. Those are our founders. Those are people who birth ideas. This is taking a really great idea and executing on the business tactics that make it successful.
Oh, Amy, so well said. So well said. So as I like to do, I dug into your FDD and looked at a few things, and it was so interesting. So if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you just a couple questions about that. There was a mention of a technology fee that may occur in the future. And gosh, with all the influx of AI and everything that's happening in technology, what type of technology do you use in your salons, or do you expect to use one day?
Yeah. The salon is actually pretty low tech, really, when you look at it face value. We have computer software, we have point of sale, we have booking software, and then, of course, the tablets that little kiddos get to enjoy if their parents say yes. Our tech fee, which we have deployed at this point, we are charging a tech fee, is really about operational. It's an operational tech stack.
Gotcha.
It is everything from our project management software to our booking software, creative software, things like Canva. All of that is provided to our franchisees through us. So it's really more on the operational side than the business actually being, at this point, there are not robots cutting hair, thankfully for us. But yeah, it's really designed for operational technology.
That makes sense. As you can imagine, being at a university, AI is all the talk and all the things.
A lot.
Yes.
Very good. It is very good.
Very helpful. I could not agree more. So your item 11, of course, talks about marketing and advertising and as well as some other things, but that's your specialty. So I thought I would ask you, what is the most important effort that you believe a franchisee can do to drive business?
Google. I mean, if I had to distill it one word, it's Google, because I know through my own learned experience that when my son, who's now 13, but was 2, and woke up one day and I actually was able to see, you do need a haircut. My husband had been begging me for a year. It was like, this mullet's out of control. Google, kids hair salon near me.
Gotcha.
those words, kids hair salon near me, are the make or break of our business. If we are optimizing around that, if we are doing all the things, and all the things is changing all the time, we are a utility to parents, and word of mouth is very important. It's like, this is not a silver bullet. This is a buckshot, really, in terms of needing to do all the things. But I absolutely believe that, the search around where can I take my kiddo to get a haircut is vital to us.
I can see that. That whole near me phrase. I mean, those two words, I think about all the times I look at that. And that's not something I thought of, not being a marketer. So appreciate that, Amy.
I mean, there's a lot I could say. Grassroots is vital. Being out in the community is vital. Like, you need to do all of the things. And there is an argument that moms are our best marketing. Moms talk. Moms put cute photos on Instagram and tag us. All of that absolutely matters. And to take it a step back, yes, kids salon near me is attracting the new client. At the end of the day, your best marketing is a remarkable experience. We're a subscription model, really just in a kid's hair salon, but kids have hair, it grows, it needs to be cut, rinse, repeat. A great experience means you're retaining your earliest clients for over a decade.
It's a great way to look at it too, and think of the number of haircuts they need over that time.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So that is a lot. That's a lot. Oh, excellent discussion. I can tell you are a marketing expert. Thank you for that. So the last piece on your FDD is item 15 was so interesting to me because you use the words that one designated owner who owns at least 50% of the business must be the sole decision maker. And there has to be a story around that, or why that was stated so clearly. Would you mind explaining that?
I think that's like an FDD way of saying leadership.
I gotcha.
There needs to be leadership within your business. This is not a passive investment. That will never work. And, this isn't a business too that needs 4 owners to make it happen. And everybody's got different roles. I mean, it is a simple business to open and run, but it needs leadership, and it needs a plugged in owner. And so we've evolved that language a bit for 2025, but there's sort of 2 pathways to sit still ownership in terms of how it's managed. You are an owner operator, meaning you are in your business 40 hours a week doing all the things, or you are the CEO of your business managing your manager who is in the salon 40 hours a week doing all of the things. So we've learned that through 27 shops open, you see what owner involvement really needs to look like for these businesses to tick.
Do you think the owners need to know how to cut hair? Interesting.
None of them do. None of our owners have cosmetology licenses.
Interesting.
Yeah. Which is by design. This, not to say we may never have a salon owned by a stylist, but this is a model, again, back to what we're coaching people on, where you're recruiting top talent. You're recruiting people who have already been certified by your state licensing department to cut hair. That come to you with the credentials. We do have scenarios where your front desk and client service people are also going to cosmetology school with the goal or the dream to cut hair at some point, which is really a cool way to sort of bring people in.
Would you ever take a stab at cutting hair?
I mean, I have cut my own children's hair. And that was kind of a one and done. So
I got you.
But I have massive respect for the craft, and especially who have interest and are really good at cutting kids' hair, because, they're a different population that come with different set of circumstances. You don't always know what you're going to get with a 2.5-year-old.
That's exactly right. Haircutting is something I do admire. I think it is definitely an art and a craft. And so that's why I was curious about the need for a franchisee to know that. So that's good to hear. Is there anything about your brand that I didn't ask you that you'd like people to know about?
I think the thing that I'm most proud of with Sit Still and what we stand for is we made a commitment early on to be an accessible brand that is for everyone. And that what that really means in practice is that we are training our stylists to work with kids of all kinds, those with sensory sensitivities, those with different types of hair that not everybody's going to be able to cut. But if we have trained our stylists appropriately, they can cut that kind of hair. And this idea of inclusivity to the best of our ability is what I am most proud of.
That's great.
We hear from parents of kiddos who have historically had bad experiences other places, really just based on the fact that the stylist wasn't trained to work with that type of kiddo and that they had a great experience at Sit Still. That's what keeps us going every day. And it arguably is a harder way to run a business, but it is what we are hell-bent on doing.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Well, you've kind of led me into my last two questions, which are more about you. And I love what you said about Sit Still and how you're so proud of what's happening there, and as you should be. So you've done a lot in your entire career. If you look at all that you've done, what are you personally most proud of what you've accomplished?
This kind of comes back to one of my third mantras around taking big swings.
Yeah.
I recognize the privileged position I've been in. I have a very supportive husband who has really allowed me to be out in the world, seizing opportunities. And I think I have a really strong nose for the next big thing. And that has led me to create opportunities for myself. And at the end of the day, it's like really like digging deep. What is my intuition telling me about this next big step, this thing that's going to take me out of my comfort zone and into a new world? And I'm almost 48 years old. I've been working for a long time, but whenever I've put myself in sort of the way of opportunity, like it's worked out. And so I do give myself credit for taking the big chances, for putting myself in positions that the salary is not guaranteed. There's not a 401k. It's building the plane while flying it.
Yeah.
Thrive in that environment. And so over the years, I've been able to build confidence around flexing that risk-taking, part of me. And it's made out for a really fun and fulfilling career that was full of excitement. And I don't know where it takes me next, but it'll be exciting, no doubt.
No doubt. That's amazing. And so my last question is for you is, what do you wish you had known about franchising before you started, like in bar 3 even?
I think I'm going to speak for like what I've observed in women in my career, which is that we're here to please and we're caretakers by nature. And, we want to do right by people. That's, I think, inherent to a lot of us. And where I think that can create some sort of blind spots within franchising is that franchising at its best is really about that playbook and holding people accountable for what they signed up for. And I have found the sort of stronger you are out of the gate and setting those expectations, that while we're holding you accountable to these things that sometimes can feel wildly uncomfortable or feel like we're putting undue pressure and just things that aren't always intuitive, that is really the biggest gift you can give your franchisees, is upholding the governing principles of your business. And I have really found that, it's not about everybody liking you all the time or liking what you have to say. It's about keeping the greater business and brand and holding those standards across all locations and all franchisees. The sooner and stronger you can do that, really the better for everybody. And I think it's taken myself and a lot of my partners years to get comfortable sort of saying, this isn't about being nice or telling you what you want to hear.
That's excellent. And that's what drives consistency. You've got to stay into those brand standards or you don't have a franchise. So thank you so much, Amy. This has been fantastic. And your concept just sounds amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kathy.
Franchise You is brought to you by the Yum Center for Global Franchise Excellence at the University of Louisville. For more information on the center, visit business.louisville.edu/YUMCGFE. Thank you for listening to Franchise You.
Hey there. How would you like the latest insights, updates, and expert conversations on franchising and beyond? Well, the best way to stay connected is through our LinkedIn page and our audio podcast, Franchise You. Just search for the Yum Center for Global Franchise Excellence on LinkedIn and search Franchise You wherever you listen to your podcast. Just hit that follow button, subscribe, and join the conversation. We are posting new content constantly, and that's where we share it all, so don't miss out.